Joining us now, Aisha Siddiqa, leading Pakistan political analyst, joins me from London. Arif Abbasi, former MP of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Punjab, joins me. Mahed Ali, political analyst, joins me from Islamabad. KC Singh, former Secretary MEA, is here, and Ashok Sajanan, former diplomat here. Appreciate all of you joining us. Aisha Siddiqa, your first reactions. Are you surprised that Imran Khan is defiant till the end? Did you expect him to resign given the fact that he has lost the majority in the Pakistan National Assembly?
Rajdeep, honestly, I didn't expect him to resign. I thought he's going to fight. We can, of course, discuss the pros and cons of, whether it's what kind of a fight is he fighting, or whether I agree with the fight he thinks he's going to fight. But I didn't think that he was going to resign. I thought that he will kind of stand on the wicket and give this.
So is he trying to play martyr? Is that the sense you get? Is this Imran playing the role of a martyr? Does he want to confer himself with a halo of martyrdom even at this last final stage?
Of course, because that makes him relevant to Pakistan's politics. I mean, this is not the end of his politics. And I think what has definitely emerged, what has become very clear, is that he plans to play on like Donald Trump in America. All the people object to that comparison, but definitely he is like Donald Trump in many ways. He plans to fight on. He thinks he can return, and he can have that influence on the future of Pakistan's politics.
Arif Abbasi, ex-MP PTI, is Imran Khan living in a delusionary world? One after the other, his allies have deserted him. He's lost a majority. He's trying to sort of get himself conferred with this halo of martyrdom, when the truth is Imran Khan is on his way out.
Actually, we don't have any majority in the parliament. Our government is composed with some of our allies. And what is the current situation in the political situation in the Pakistan? The joint opposition is a different ideology. They're having a totally different ideology. There is a religious party. There is.
So your audio is a little. Your audio is a little bad. I'll come to you. KC Singh, you want to respond to what you've just heard from Imran Khan? Is this Imran Khan the sort of defiant, macho political leader trying to sort of the last stand in a way, flailing at all his opponents, whether it's United States, whether it's India, whether it's the Sharif brothers?
Well, it was an interesting speech because he's painting everyone with a black brush. He's played the foreign hand, which we have seen many times played in our own country. He is talking of strategic independence. He's saying they're all compromised. He calls in the three musketeers, Fazlur Rahman, the Sharif family and the Zardari family. And then there is fiction in this because he says, I consulted everyone and went to Moscow. I've been saying it for a week or 10 days. I said, the fact that he was with Putin the day Russia starts its Ukraine campaign was not the smartest thing to do. He was right there with Putin. Now, he thought that Russia is going to succeed very rapidly. He was earning he wanted to earn brownie points with him and with China. He thought China is completely with Russia. He overplayed his hand because even the Chinese have not gone that far. So now he's covering it up by saying, no, I consulted retired foreign secretaries. I consulted a lot of people. So he's doing all this. He's preparing for the next election. He is trying to threaten his own people. Yeah, his own people who are disloyal to him.
Let me get... Sure. You're saying he's overplayed his hand, but Mahed Ali, there is the elephant in the room, not mentioned in his speech, is the Pakistan army. Now, we don't know which way the army will go. The sense one gets is the army has decided to stay out of this. So Imran Khan is left on his own. Am I correct? That this time Imran Khan does not have the crutch of the army to support him.
You see, Imran Khan has always been a very bad loser. He's just crying. And I feel bad about it. He's trying to say that he and his supporters, they are all on one side. The rest of the country, they're all traitors. Is that what he's trying to say? Those parties that he has named, and that he is accused of sort of conspiring with the US or with any other foreign country, say for that matter, European Union. Why is he doing that? Because does he want to pitch every Pakistani against the other one? Does he want to have this thing in the streets? We are witnessing some cases where the PTI workers are harassing the MPM people who are their allies, who haven't even contested on the PTI ticket. So he's a bad loser, and the way he's doing it,
this is a sign of Imran Khan, the bad loser. Arif Abbasi, this is an Imran Khan who's a bad loser. Your leader is a bad loser.
Can I talk in Urdu? I am very comfortable in the Urdu, not in the English much.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Actually, this is the defining moment in the Pakistan history. You know the Imran Khan, you know the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, our manifesto and our Manshur. तो हम लोग तो एक चेंज के लिए आए थे और हमें बदकिस्मती से एब्सोल्यूट मेजॉरिटी पार्लियामेंट में नहीं थी हमारे पास. हमें मजबूरन रवायती अलीफों का 2-3 हमारे साथ अलीफ थे, इत्यादी थे, जिनका हमें लेनी पड़ी सपोर्ट टू कंस्टिट्यूट द गवर्नमेंट. तो अब देखें इमरान खान के खिलाफ कौन लोग हैं. उसमें मुख्तलिफुल ख्याल लोग हैं जिनका एक कॉमन एजेंडा है इमरान खान. बाकी मजहबी जमातें हैं, लसानी जमातें हैं, कोई भी एक नेशनल लेवल की जमात उसमें नहीं है जिसकी चारों सूबों में नुमाइंदगी हो.
लेकिन क्यों
पाकिस्तान
नहीं अब्बासी साहब, इतने लोग क्यों हो गए इमरान के खिलाफ? कोई वजह तो होगी ना.
इसकी वजह सिर्फ यह कि हम रवायती सियासत को खत्म करना चाहते हैं जो उनके प्रीवियस उन्होंने गवर्न किया इस मुल्क को पिछले 50 सालों में. उसकी सारी पॉलिसियां जो बनी है वो पाकिस्तान के इंटरेस्ट में नहीं इतनी थी जितनी बैनुल अक़वामी ताकतों की इन्फ्लुएंस में थी. तो इमरान खान ने बुनियादी तौर पे खारजा पॉलिसी, फाइनेंशियल पॉलिसी, इक्तिसादी पॉलिसी, दाखिला पॉलिसी, इनको ठीक करने की कोशिश की है. इंटरेस्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान.
You're saying Imran Khan, no, 1 minute. You're saying Imran Khan has tried to, in a way, finish the old feudal order of Pakistan, or what you're describing, exactly. The Sharifs, the Zardaris.
Exactly.
Aisha Siddiqui, just a minute. Aisha Siddiqui, do you agree with that Imran Khan is paying the price for taking on the Sharifs and the Zardaris, or is he, as is being suggested by some others, simply responsible for his own downfall?
Well, I don't think that it's his fight with the Zardaris and of this country and the Sharifs. That is there, of course. I mean, look, an opposition party is going to fight back. These parties also need to survive. But I think his downfall is because of two reasons. One, he could not perform. Two, because of his lack of performance and pressure from the political parties who successfully diverted attention towards the fact that he couldn't make any gains, and therefore ordinary people were suffering and had begun to point a finger at the military. And thirdly, he has lost out because the system of hybridity that he had invested in, he had begun to then challenge that like politicians in the past. So starting from his difference, so his differences with the military played a major role in the situation that has come about. And this goes back to 2020. I mean, I think the first fracture in the relationship, this hybrid relationship on the same page, they started drifting away from the same page when the manner in which General Bajwa's tenure was extended. I mean, it was humiliation through and through. The way government extended it, but sent it to the Supreme Court, they delayed it, and then onwards. I mean, there were differences in foreign policy. He had, begun to exercise his right or role as a prime minister, as a legitimate political actor, which of course wasn't appreciated by the military. So it was a number of factors which brought this situation.
You're saying the elephant in the room, K.C. Singh. Is that the sense you get? given the history of Pakistan, eventually the armies decided Imran Khan is now dispensable, and Imran Khan perhaps thought that he could carve out some kind of an independent position for himself, which, as it is turning out, has not quite worked out.
No, Ms. Siddiqa is absolutely right. You see, because Imran has been turning the knife in America's back for a long time. It began with the success of Taliban. He was jubilant when the Americans were withdrawing. He supported the way Taliban is treating the women. He's gone out of the way, say this is Pashtun culture. So he's an embarrassment as far as army is concerned, which wants to retain balanced relationship between China and US. They don't want to be just completely in the Chinese corner. And China's own success has not been great. They've just come and rolled over a loan the other day, $4.7 billion, which was due, I think, this week. The Chinese have rolled it over. But essentially, the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, etc., and so on and so forth, has not been all that successful. There are questions about it. So ultimately, it's economics and foreign policy, the two things. So army has absolutely correctly put by Ms. Siddiqa, embarrassed by their foster child. They are the ones who foisted him on the country. So the country then starts blaming the army and saying, hey, guys, this is your guy, and please control him. What is he doing? Then he's turned around to bite them. He wanted his own DGISI. He's gone down the route. Every Pakistani prime minister has gone and got into trouble because they start behaving that they are not on foreign policy subject to the writ of the Pakistani military. When they start acting independently, the puppet starts behaving and acting without the strings. That's where the army then comes in because they're very clear red lines. So instead of paying attention to the country, he started enjoying it, being in the foreign policy field. And then, as I said, he's moved completely into the corner of China and Russia. He's moved into the Taliban corner. So he's distanced himself, and President Biden has not even spoken to him. So it's not today. The US administration has been upset for a while. And I think he's not bothered to address it.
But the fact, therefore, is that Imran Khan perhaps, therefore, stands isolated. Mahid Ali, is that your sense? That he is today one man with a handful of supporters taking on his rivals? Or do you believe that he still has a large reservoir of support that he is hoping to count on by playing this? Do you think that he can revive himself, or is this the end of the game for Imran Khan?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so that it's the end of the game. Whatever he's trying to do is he's trying to build up the momentum for the next elections. That's one point. But I am sorry to say that I disagree with the earlier speaker. You see, Imran Khan doesn't have that kind of head on his shoulders which could think things like that, talking about China and talking about Russia, and he knows the dynamics. When he came back after meeting Trump, he said he had won another World Cup. Then we lost India, we lost Kashmir. And then, you see, he doesn't have anything in his bag to brag about,
So you're saying basically Imran Khan, you're saying basically Imran Khan has been thoroughly exposed. Once he became Prime Minister, he's been exposed. Ashok Sajanar, do you agree? Imran Khan came, into Pakistani politics as this knight in shining armor, knight on a white horse who was going to transform into a Naya Pakistan. But it appears today Imran Khan just looked as an angry, bitter man who was going to take on the entire system. Has the system bitten back? What's your sense? Does Imran Khan still have a future?
Well, to respond to your two questions, Rajdeep, I do think that he came with a huge agenda. He has not been able to deliver. His first point as the, as far as the objective of any Pakistan leader, Pakistan Prime Minister.
We're still, your line is unfortunately frozen. Right. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
What I was saying is that when he... Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rajdeep. So when he came, he said that there are, number one, 40,000 terrorists in Pakistan, and he's going to take care of them and he's going to deal with them. nothing has happened. He's been promising very big. And even after August 5, 2019, what he had said is that he's going to raise the Kashmir issue on the international fora like it has never been raised earlier. But he went around, we all know what he did at the UN General Assembly session. He spoke for about 50 minutes in a very disjointed, disconnected sort of an address. The point I'm trying to make is that he has, on any of the areas, whether it is economy, whether it is relations with India, whether it is relations with the United States, he has promised big, he has failed miserably, he has not delivered. And today what I could read from his address was he can see the writing on the wall that, Sunday is going to be his last day. He's not going to be able to. And so both he's trying to go out as a martyr, and he's also threatening. But I don't know how much of stamina, Rajdeep, he has left in him. After all, he's 79 years. He's no sort of, young chicken who has the whole,
69.
A long time to go in front of him. So I think it doesn't look too good for him.
It doesn't look too good. There was an interesting analogy that Aisha Siddiqa drew with Donald Trump. This sort of, even Trump almost blamed everyone else but himself for what went wrong. Eventually almost tried to sort of create a revolt of sorts in Washington. Do you think, Aisha Siddiqa, Imran can do the same? Do you believe that, should he lose the vote on the 3rd, will he still try to create some kind of a rebellion, revolt against the so-called established order? Because of the presence of the army, Imran's options are very limited now.
I think what's important to note is that despite the way this vote is going to be, despite that probably he's going to lose and we see his back, we're not going to see his back in politics. I think what has happened is that Pakistan has become very divided in its way. I mean, people are where they are. He still has support in KP. He still has support amongst the youth. And I think, remember one thing, his speeches are not just signaling to his supporters, but also to the youth and the first and second tier military leadership. It's so interesting that compared to other political leaders, Imran Khan is one with whom the military, which has its basis in the middle class, was so ideologically aligned. They saw him as, he was not just their product. There was also somebody that they had created who was like them. There were similarities. They were ideologically aligned with him. They still are. There are many in the middle class. There are many in his support base. There are many in the military. I mean, it may surprise you that for instance,
could they still stand by Imran? So could they still stand by Imran come April 3rd? Because, there was a sense, there was a parallel theme that Imran had almost, which he's always had in his politics, blaming America for the drone attacks, blaming the West in a way for preventing Pakistan from having an independent foreign policy, suggesting that Nawaz Sharif was in cahoots with Narendra Modi and the Indian government. That somehow or the other trying to sort of hope that the army will still stand by him? Or do you believe the army has given up on Imran Khan?
I think he has a sense that he's going, but he is trying to create, two things. One is the military would definitely want to have him around, playing a role in politics, because traditional leaders have returned. But it also means that in this conversation, there are two parallel conversations going on in Pakistan. One is between the older political parties and PTI, and the other is between the military and these political parties. And yes, you can say there's a third dialogue, which is between the PTI and the military. Now, the military, in order to, even if it brings back the traditional parties, it would want to be in a dominant position. And therefore, Imran Khan can remain useful. That's one. Secondly, I don't think that military has given up on its larger agenda of taming Pakistan's politics. Somewhere in the background lurks the Bangladesh model. So they want to reset the country. And though this this is a kind of a defeat for them, they would still want to use Imran Khan. So even if they don't
because
support him
if Imran Khan, because if Imran Khan is to be replaced, as it appears likely, by Shahbaz Sharif, KC Singh, you're back to square one. We thought that the military wanted to get rid of the Bhuttos, wanted to get rid of the Sharifs, and therefore saw Imran Khan as the sort of new hero, their new mascot. It's gone all horribly wrong. Do you believe Shahbaz Sharif will be able to actually face up to the military? Or do you believe sooner or later, given the possible instability, we could well be confronted with the prospect of a General Bajwa or someone else being the real most powerful man in Pakistan?
Look, Shahbaz Sharif was always closer to the military than the brother. And I have it on authority when I was in Abu Dhabi. This is from a fairly senior person who was in the know of things after Musharraf's coup. They said Shahbaz was in Nawaz's house when the decision was taken to not allow Musharraf's plane to land. He was not consulted. Because within the Nawaz Sharif family, they felt that Shahbaz is too close to the army. The family kept telling him, he will replace you because the army will bring him. So there is a separate dynamics within the Sharif family. The daughter would want to come up. Nawaz cannot come up. There are too many cases. And that's why he's been painted with that black brush by Imran. But Shahbaz is a smart operator.
But are we going to see chronic instability? No, but are we going to see chronic instability leading possibly to early elections?
Look, the instability comes when a prime minister in Pakistan starts acting up and does not observe the red lines which the military lays down, whether it is Nawaz or it's Zardari or it's anyone else. So similarly, when Shahbaz comes in, military will try him because they think he's more reliable than the brother and the brother's family. And if he's smart enough to observe the red lines, if the military really wants to deal with India, that's a signal they're sending. I don't know whether that's correct or not. We'll know once they're comfortable with the Prime Minister. Last point. I don't buy Ms. Sadiqa's argument that Imran may be tried again by the army. You see, I think they are absolutely uncomfortable with a charismatic figure who wants to reach out to the public above and beyond the military. Now, that is what he's done today. That's what he's doing constantly. So a populist is very difficult to control. Populists, and that is what is common between him and Trump and many other leaders in the world today. Populists are very difficult to control because they break systems, they don't observe rules, they're paranoid, and they go to the people and they mix facts and fiction. I think army would be stupid to try him again. They've tried him. He's not going to change. It's the same Imran.
So it is actually part of the problem is Imran forgot that a cricket field and a political field are very different. He could run the Pakistan cricket team like a one-man army as captain. You can't do it in Pakistan politics where you need to take people along with you. Mayad Ali, is this the end of the road for Imran? Very quickly.
I already said no, it's not. He'll be ironed out and kept in the cupboard, just like Chaudhry Parvez Ali, Chaudhry Shujat Hussain. These were two big names who had served.
So he will be used. He will be used when necessary. He will still be used when necessary. If okay.
Yeah. And just one point.
Mr.
And I don't.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead.
Just one point. I don't think that he is that popular as we are thinking. You see, Bhuttos have their base in Sindh. PMLN has its base. So does Maulana Fazlur Rahman. So it's not a populist thing, you know. The point is.
Okay, so you're saying that Imran does not have that kind of popularity that he would like to believe he has. Ashok Sajanar, final word. Final word from you, Ashok Sajanar, as we run out of time. Do you believe that Imran Khan will make a comeback?
I don't think so. I don't think he has a political base which can help him to come back. And I don't think time is on his side, Rajdeep. So this is, in my view, curtains as far as he's concerned. And just one last point on Shahbaz. You see, because the message has gone out loud and clear. Of course, the message has gone out earlier also, that unless you play by the rules of the game as they have been set by the army, you are on a very shaky wicket. And this message has gone out time and time again. And Shahbaz, definitely, if he comes back, this will be at the back of his mind. It's only once these leaders stay for 2 years, 3 years, etc., they start feeling very powerful that they can take on the army. That's what happened with Nawaz Sharif also. But I think if the message stays with Shahbaz that he has to keep on the right side of the army, I think then he has more of a future going forward.
Well, either way, Shahbaz probably Shahbaz Sharif, a more canny politician than perhaps his brother as well. But either way, the limitations of Imran Khan have been exposed cruelly. And what we saw a short while ago was perhaps the last stand of someone who, as I said earlier, made the mistake of practicing politics as he would a cricket team. He was an extremely successful captain of the Pakistan cricket team, led by example. But when it came to politics, failed to realize that whatever changes in Pakistan, one thing remains constant, and that's the domination of the Pakistan army. You cross a red line, the army will strike back, and they've used the opponents of Imran Khan to virtually encircle him. It appears as of now, it is the last stand of Imran Khan. The final nail could well be on the 3rd of April in the Pakistan Assembly. What that means for our neighbors and the stability of Pakistan is something that we in India will have to look very closely at. For now, thanks very much for joining us on this special. Bye for now.